Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles. So I'm going to talk about Doctor Who. She doesn't care about it. I don't really care about it. Nobody seems to care about it. Nobody's watching it. And now we have Mark Gatiss, who was a writer on Doctor Who. I think he was on a couple of episodes too. He was in Sherlock. But he's like, you know what? It is time for the show to rest. It's time for Doctor Who to rest. And that's a pretty damning thing for one of the I guess more popular, more prolific writers for the show to come out and say it's time to just pack it in. And I agree with them. I think that Doctor Who not only needs to rest, I think it probably needs a reboot or something. Or maybe we just need to retire the show completely because it's been played out and it's been damaged beyond recognition. It's been foobarred at this point. So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, go to news.clownfishtv.com for more news and podcasts out there. And yeah, we've been covering the rapid decline of Doctor Who. I mean, it's just insane. And even Reddit is pointing out that they never thought that Russell T Davies would be the Undertaker, the guy who actually buried Doctor Who, and it turns out that is actually the case. Now, just a week or two ago, we had Ncuti Gatwa out there who's, he's gotten gone from the show. We don't know if he quit or the BBC pushed him out or whatever, but he was like, yeah, I'm getting too old to play Doctor Who. I'm like, the dude is 32 years old. Most of the doctors didn't start until they were like 40. Like, what is your deal, dude? Like, you're actually one of the youngest doctors. Yeah, it's too hard. My knees, my back, everything's just too hard. I don't want to do it anymore. And that's why I quit. No, you quit because, well, it was either quit on your own terms or get pushed out, I think, because the BBC was not happy with the ratings. I don't think Disney is happy with the ratings. Fans definitely aren't happy with the show. But yeah, let's look at this. It's come from IGN. I had a couple people send me this article, so thank you for that. I am so sorry. I don't remember individual names. A couple people, though, were like, hey, did you see one of the big writers on Doctor Who's like, yeah, it's time for it to rest. IGN has it. As Doctor Who's future remains in the balance, writer and actor Mark Gatiss says it may be time for the show to rest. It's been back for 20 years, which is an awfully long time. They say as questions swirl over the future of Doctor Who, one of its most prolific writers has suggested the series may be due for a rest. Yeah, he's written several episodes. And he's like, you know what? Just call it a day. Let's just call it a day. Almost 2 months after the airing of Doctor Who's most recent season finale, the BBC's flagship sci-fi show is still to be recommissioned for new episodes. I don't think there are going to be any new ones for a while. The return of co-production partner Disney remains uncertain. I don't think Disney, again, I could be wrong, but I don't think Disney's going to spend money on the show. It's not theirs, and it didn't perform. A notable Doctor Who insider recently suggested the series will now remain off air for several years while production sits paused. Amid all that, Doctor Who writer and actor Mark Gatiss has been asked his view on what might be next for the veteran series. In response, he referenced the era where Doctor Who was previously off the air for a considerable period between 1989 and 2005. 16 years. Well, we had the made-for-TV movie was in there, but 16 years. And suggests it might be time for the franchise to take a break. A friend and frequent collaborator, previous Doctor Who showrunner Stephen Moffat, Gatiss has written 9 episodes of the series since 2005 and acted in 5 episodes. It's been back for 20 years, which is an awfully long time. He told Prospect Magazine, almost as long as its original run. That's pretty spectacular. So maybe it's time for another rest. I mean, it's pretty damning when you've got somebody that's associated with the show being like, you know what? Let's just stop. Let's just not make any more for a while. I really don't know. He continued. I only know I still love the show with all my heart. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one to admit. I went on Peter Pischke's podcast earlier today, and I don't know when that episode is going to be out, but we talked about Doctor Who. And he said it breaks his heart because he keeps wanting to go back in and dip back into Doctor Who. He's hoping it gets better, but I don't think it's going to get better. I kept thinking, well, maybe Jodie Whittaker won't be so bad. They need some fresh blood now. No, it just has been all downhill. Gatiss is one of the most senior figures to comment on the uncertain future of Doctor Who following the series' most recent episode, in which saw the departure of Ncuti Gatwa via a reshot ending. That was weird. The unexplained appearance of Billy Piper in a role that remains to be confirmed. Even the mere suggestion that Doctor Who might enter another dark period, such as the 16-year hiatus. No, it was canceled. It was canceled, and then they resuscitated it. But the show was definitely canceled. 16-year hiatus between Sylvester McCoy and Christopher Eccleston era would have previously seemed inconceivable. But such is the uncertainty around the show's future now, with no actor officially confirmed to hold the series title role. Yeah, a couple of years ago, this would have been inconceivable. Doctor Who, less than a decade ago, was one of the most popular science fiction shows on TV. In the U.S., I mean, it was huge in the U.K., but here in the U.S., even on BBC America, the Matt Smith era especially was massive. We had toys over here. It was an event. Doctor Who was like, it was like a good science fiction movie every week, and everybody tuned in for Doctor Who. It was massive, and then they just ran it into the freaking ground. I mean, if you told me that bringing Russell T Davies and David Tennant back would actually spell the beginning of the end for the show, I never would have believed you. But here we are, and even IGN's like, yeah, this would have been inconceivable, but here we are. I mean, nothing lasts forever, but there's so many things they could have done to avoid this, and they did the opposite of all of those things. It's like, well, fans don't seem too into the idea of a female doctor. Okay, let's give him a female doctor. Let's not retcon let's never mention the name of the doctor, where the doctor came from. Okay, let's just retcon the doctor's origin. It's just like, what are you doing? People don't really like all the gay overtones in Doctor Who lately. Oh, okay, cool. Let's the next doctor. Yeah, he's gonna be very flaming gay, and he's gonna wear a skirt. How you like that, bigots? You know what I'm saying? Like, all the things that they shouldn't have done, they did. Fans like the classic monsters. Okay, let's not put them in the first season of Jodie Whittaker's run. Instead, let's have let's have racists, space racists, and a guy with a bunch of teeth on his face. Yeah, that's so much better than Daleks, right? Russell T Davies, Doctor Who's showrunner for the past 2 seasons, has meanwhile simply said the series makers don't know what's happening yet. Oh, I know what's happening. You just don't want to admit it. You fucking killed Doctor Who, Russell. You brought it into this world and you took it out, just like Bill Cosby said. In the meantime, the BBC will plug the gap with an already shot spin-off series, The War Between the Land and the Sea, which doesn't look interesting at all to me. Sorry. So here's Reddit. They said, yeah, it's honestly amazing how Russell T Davies ended up being the Undertaker of Doctor Who. Not what I was expecting. Yeah, me neither. The fact that it ended up being, will he cry in this episode? Bingo. Yes, the Doctor doesn't cry often. He should not cry. Yeah, to be clear, I have 0 issues with the Doctor being a charismatic, smoking, hot, gay doctor, but my God, did he really have to cry every fucking episode? When you've lost the audience you've been pandering to. And there are a lot of people that I would consider progressive or quote unquote woke that are looking at new Doctor Who even, and they're like, yeah, this is too far. It's ridiculous. Fun fact about crying in Doctor Who. For the episode Doomsday, Tennant was told to cry for the scene where he slumped against the wall after losing Rose. But instead, at Tennant's insistence, we got the iconic 1,000-yard stare. Yeah, the Doctor shouldn't be crying. Capaldi's Doctor didn't express his emotions, but he did feel them. Eccleston was haunted and angry. I kind of like the haunted, angry, aloof Doctor. They said, yeah, it was the same with Discovery. It was absurd how often 2 characters would stop for a heart-to-heart conversation anytime they wanted, and then they would start crying. Yeah, it was a meme. So this comes from Fandom Wire. The day after Ncuti Gatwa called his stint strenuous, Doctor Who writer pitches to let the franchise rest. And this is right after he's like, I'm too old. Yeah, I'm too old. I'm too old to be the Doctor. It said after 2 seasons of record low viewership and the show possibly being placed on hiatus, the deal remains uncertain. Yeah, no shit. They're not going to make a deal. The BBC's CEO, Tom Fussell, Is that right? Spoke about the future of the show and how the deal might progress. Apart from Doctor Who, the BBC also has a deal with Disney regarding Bluey, which seems to be bringing in record viewership. Well, yeah, but that's Bluey. You blew it with Doctor Who. He said, we really want to carry on looking at ways for fans to interact with the brand. We look after the brand, whether it's at Comic-Con merchandising or whether it's a distribution deal we've done. The BBC and Disney haven't made a decision yet. When they do, they'll announce that there's no point in me speculating on it. I don't think they're going to. Source told the Radio Times that Disney pulled out of the deal. It might affect the future of the show because they don't have enough money. They don't have enough money to do it on their own. Yeah, it's over, man. I think it's over for now. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'll admit I could be wrong, but all signs point to this bitch is cooked. It's it's over. It's an X show. So when Doctor Who finally comes back, when I'm in my 70s, you know, if I'm still interested and it comes back and they return to form, then, you know, maybe I'll pop my head in. But yeah, there are a lot of people who've been watching Doctor Who since the 60s. And they're getting up there. So, you know, this show this might be the last hurrah. This might be, can you imagine the last Doctor Who you ever watch being Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who, turning into Billy Piper for no damn reason? And that's it. And that's how the show ends for you. You know, it's like, boop. You know, it's like the end of Doctor Who. At least wrap it up with a movie or something. Could we at least do a kick-ass movie and just like retcon the Timeless Child shit out of it? And, you know, Doctor goes back in time and stops himself from regenerating into Jodie Whittaker. That'd be great. So there we go, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later. For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.